Alrighty guys, I was gonna make a new video. I'm hoping that I'm sitting in a good spot. Hey Max, watch out. Watch out. Thanks, Bubby. Good boy. Back up so wait. The guitar can be very well seen. So, this next video is gonna be talking about kind of like how to just work like just off a couple jammy chords on a guitar, right? You're always hearing, some like crazy stuff. And how are these guitar players coming up with this stuff? Like, are they just brilliant? What's the mystery behind it, right? So me being a bass player, I'm not super aware of these things. And most of them are dependent. These patterns that you're able to hold with your hand are dependent upon the relationship of the B string on the guitar, because that B string drops down to a 4-step differential, from string to string versus 5 for the rest of your guitar, right? And so because of that, things are offset at the B string, and so you're able to have some unique shapes that oftentimes are much more physically easy to create than they would be if you had a guitar that just every single string was a set of 5. So when we're playing something and we're wanting to mess around with, a Red Hot Chili Peppers, or like whatever's going on, it might not necessarily be super clear what's happening, but actually what's happening is terribly simple. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain using chords, just regular bar chords for the guitar, and I'm going to show how those bar chords are just like whole pieces, and the jammy parts, the jammy little chords on those higher strings are just the upper portions of those bar chords. So there are two positions that we want to worry about with both major and minor chords when we're looking to convert them into a jam kind of, doing something kind of crazy. So we'll start with the minor, and we're going to look at E. So my E chord, right, if I was doing a bar chord, I'd have an index finger right here, but because it's E, it's just, the bar is now the open strings, right? So it's pretty easy to do an open E minor chord. We're going to do an open E, 2nd fret B, 2nd fret again on the next string E, then we're going to have our G, B, and then another high E. And so that's our usual E chord right there. So now if you notice, the top 3 strings were all open strings, and they're all in a line. So now we can extrapolate that relationship, and we can paste it onto any note that we want. So let's say our song is an A minor. Now I'm going to find my A minor bar chord, and now I can use those high 3 strings just like that, and that is totally set, and that's what I call my position 1 for a minor. And so that's a really jammy thing that I can always work with. Now there is a second position, and the way we find the second position, I'm still going to use E, but now E minor, but I'm now going to move it up to a whole octave up. So I'm going to find my E on my A string, which is right here, and now I'm going to build a minor bar chord off of that. So in order to build a bar chord off of this, right, they're going to be all the same notes as before. However, now I have to put down a 3rd finger right here. I call this 3rd. Sorry, guitar players. I'm first and foremost a piano player. So for me, this is my 3rd finger because thumb counts as 1. If you want to call this 2, go ahead and call it 2. But I figured I should just clarify that. So for me, my 3rd finger, I'm going to drop it down onto the B string, and it's going to hold what would that be, a 8th fret. And so when I play this once again, I'm an E minor chord, and now if we look at the very top 3 strings, now they're in what I call a waterfall position. And so waterfall simply means that each note kind of drops down in succession. So my topmost G string that I'm going to be playing in my jam position, on the G, right? That's way up here on my 9th fret. Immediately underneath that is going to be the 8th fret, and then immediately underneath that, 7th fret. And so we're sitting in a waterfall position. I call that second position for like a minor jam. So we had our first one, octave, right? Still first position, but this is a full octave up. And now we've also discovered our second position. They end up creating the same effect. They're the same notes, just in a different position. So now we have two positions that we can work with in our minor. Why do we want two positions? The reason why we want two positions is normally during a song, chords will change, and there'll be moments when you're going to want to play first position or second position because they'll be easier to reach. So if we're looking at, in this case, it's Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd, they use a first position structure, right? So just all in a line, but it's a D minor, right? So I'm placed on my D minor bar chord, but I'm in my first position right here, right, for the jam. And there's other chords surrounding there, which we're going to get to in just a moment. But because of the location of that first position structure, that is the most advantageous place to do it, right? Because I could do this instead, right? This is my, or is it down here? No, right here. This is my second position for D minor right here. And this one is not as easy to do. Right, that's I cannot do that quickly because I'm changing the shape of my hand too quickly, I'm forced to do it too quickly. I can't physically accomplish that, right? So you have a choice between a first or a second position to accomplish your goals for what you want to play. So now that we've looked at both the first and the second positions and why we generate two different positions to help us play those songs, now let's look at what we're going to have to do if we're playing a major chord, because we will have to deal with major chords in our songs very often. So if I play an E major, now I'm going to drop down my first index finger right here, finger number 2, drop it down onto my G string to play a G sharp, which is going to make my E chord a major. Oop. Can't see anything. So in this particular case, now I'm playing a major chord, and if we look and I take out the bottom strings, I have a +1, which is what I'm going to call it, first fret, and then the next two strings are 0, 0. So now this is first position for a major chord, and depending, let's say I'm playing an A major now, I can take out those top strings, and now I can play my major. I'm going to make a bar with my index finger, but then I'm going to drop in this third finger up above it on the G string to help create that. Now if you notice, and we go back to that Pink Floyd song, right, we have the minor. We now know that our second chord was a major, right, and we also know that that major was a C, right. Now there is one last jammy chord position that I want to discuss, and that is the second position for a major. This one might not be as obvious, but it's still using the same rules. So we're going to go back up to an octave E, and this time we're going to be playing the E bar chord for that octave. And so I'm using my two fingers right here to actually hold 3 strings at once. They're holding the D string, the G string, and the B string all at once, and they're going down in a line. So as we play this, right? Right? So now once again, I'm at my E major. So when I'm looking at this, I notice right away that there are 3 strings all in a row, but you'll notice that they leave out that E string right here, so we're not even going to play it. So that is our second position for a major, kind of like a jam shape, right? So now, going back once again to the Pink Floyd song, right? The the last two chords in our jammy little flick that the guitar player is playing are major chords in the second jam position. So now, once we know that, this little lick is no longer just memorizing, I have to play this fret, and then I have to play this fret, and then I have to play this fret. Now we're seeing a relationship between, oh, I'm playing this jam chord at this position, and I'm playing this jam chord at this position. And now they make much more sense, right? So if you want to do yourself a little bit of homework, you can pause it right now, and you can figure out what jam chord note is that. What is it related to? So I'll give you a moment to pause that if you want to. Hey. So that's a jam chord for our G right here, and then now we're going to go down to our F. That's the second jam chord. So if you got that wrong, it's no big deal, but I recommend writing these down on a piece of paper using your E major, E minor, up here, bar chord, right, E major, or E major, and then E minor, and using them to understand the relationship between the different positions and like your jam chords. All right, have a good one.